Namaskar. This is Eng Suraj Singh. I am continuing my discussions on engineering. This is serial number 9. Now, it's engineering-based development, appraisal to general public, professional awareness, backbone of any nation, building activities, foundations, concrete activities, RCC, forms, rebars, and objective being just reminding the world of engineering sciences, their applications, impact on the economy, health, safety, and environment, quality, society, all relevant, and others. Buildings construction in Bharat and advice to general public. Buildings execution and supervision. Detailed description of buildings construction, buildings execution and supervision, and advice. Detailed description of buildings construction concrete, so operations and procedures, foundations and their construction, understandable knowledge, work awareness, avoid misguidance by the greedy builders, greedy contractors, greedy persons, greedy bad professionals. RCC or reinforced cement concrete. Brief on that again. Engineering science applies to the whole world developments. Engineering is the basis of any society. Without engineering, the human had to remain ancient. Civil engineering is the basis of all structures and infrastructures. Designs and planning of buildings is a vast discipline. Building is the most significant commodity to make a lifetime purchase. It's very important, very significant from the life of any person. It's not a small commodity. It's a very big, considerable commodity which cannot be availed by every person. It can be availed only by a few percentage of the society. The owner should be careful while spending money on building, because it's not small investment, it's a big investment. I'm talking for those people who are not doing business of building construction or building promotions. Owner should not trust the building quick builders or other trade-oriented persons or artisans or anybody else. The civil engineer service is a must. It must be availed from the authorized resources. It's easy to know something about anything, if not everything. Foundations are the soul of any building. RCC is the modern material, it's not ultra-modern, that replaces the conventional brickwork and stonework. RCC is an artificial stone, that is reinforced cement concrete. Engineering is an art-based science with widest network. In fact, engineering is a mind religion. Without engineering, Ramayana could not be completed, as I told before. Ram Setu could not be built. In Mahabharata, the building that was set on fire could not be set on fire otherwise, without the knowledge of existing engineering that time. Ram Setu, there's a bridge, also a marvel of ancient engineering, not learned from any university, but from God Vishwakarma, the God that is engineer for production of this universe. The universal engineer, we say. The Vishwakarma is a highly respected devata. The stones used for Ram Setu construction were de-densified so as to have them the properties of flotation. You have a right to check about your building. Everybody has the right, being the owner or being a person involved with the production of the building. It should be well returned. The owner should treat the building as a temple for those users who shall live for decades with their souls within. It's not a structure, just a skeleton or a house. It's a building means which builds your personality as well, where you feel contented, where you feel satisfied, where you feel happy, your soul feels happy while staying in that building. Simply Residing in building doesn't work means your soul should be happy, your psyche should be happy. The time you are staying in the building, that what the building requirement should be. The owner spends more on buildings and therefore must be allowed to obtain the money returns in the form of a sound and a durable delivery of products. Safety during construction is of utmost significance. RCC is such a material that is expensive, but once worked in, it is almost too expensive to take out or to demolish or dismantle and rebuild. RCC requires professional engineering, design, and regular supervision on site. Without engineering, nothing is possible in the world. Yet the professionals are most unbeneficial and society is unaware about their sacrifices. The public has to look into the pros and cons of engineering and recognize the efforts contributed by the engineers. The purchaser has to involve self to contribute for a better product of building. Building should be treated like any live machine that should work perfectly and that has to work so that worlds are seen by the eyes, but building is not considered as such. The building also vibrates, the building respires, it talks to the human being, it shows indications while it performs forever. A good structure shall get in a special type of happiness in the person who uses that as well as the person who designed and supervised that. Concrete is a very important material for construction and therefore imports a high degree of care. Concrete technology is too complex and therefore only adequately qualified and adequately experienced professionals should be entrusted the job for the object to design and supervise the building works. Every batch of concrete should be properly produced and supervised and laid. No concessions should be allowed for RCC works. It's not acceptable. No politics can sustain the national advancement without the role of engineering. Engineers can change the national power, national capital, national potential and status in this world. Engineers are to be credited with the due social regards, with social status, with social dignity, and with social recognition. The engineers are not seen in public, but must be recognized for the sake of better understanding and given the due status with regards. In most cases, engineers intend to deliver good quality products, but due to special circumstances beyond their control of commercial nature and benefits to the promoters, these engineers have reservations too. Buildings are required for every manufacturing unit, for every residence, for every commercial unit, for every office, for all railway halls, for all offices, for most of the activities and means required in life, whatever it could be. I cannot tell all. Engineers have a dignified duty towards the society as the society depends exclusively on the services of engineers for the abode of the user production. Engineers have to work hard during construction phases in addition to doing hard work during design and detailing. In particular, RCC requires continuous attention by the involved professionals of all designations, all classes. It's not an easy attempt to exercise to simply arrange the ingredients material and mix, but RCC requires a thorough technology application due to the factual requirement of its service to the building for many decades. All other professionals or professions shall be worthless without the contribution of engineering in the global scenario. Engineering travels its journey from a dream to a made-up project or a produced or a created project or a dream coming true project. Buildings are a must for the operations of all other professions. Do not allow your building to convert to a graveyard. Building is not meant for a day or for a month, but for the generations to come. Save your generations from dying under the collapse of the structure. Actually, building build, builds the human. The building is a live art. It's a live science. It's a live architecture. It's a live emotion. It's the life security of the life and whatever end it could be. It's something considerable for a common man, for any man. The design and its construction should be considered religiously apart from the life considerations of making profit. For an engineer, the construction is like making a temple by heart. Use the heart. RCC requires complete dedication by the engineers and the supervisors and whoever directly or indirectly is involved in the building from any sector, from any class, from any designation, from any resource. Please take care. The public of the whole world living on the earth has been developing various nations as well as the globe. The contributions from all fields of human lives are responsible to make it, but a considerable contribution comes from the fields of engineering of all disciplines. Without the contribution of engineering disciplines, the life shall cease. The history is full of various legends of engineering all over the globe. Though there was no engineering education in those days, yet the minds were full of engineering knowledge, inculcated either by the God gifts or by the clan works inherited from ancestors. Engineering contributes from the manufacturing of a small needle to this big spaceship, and in between you can find all other systems running based on any branch of engineering. You can take example of aircraft, fighting aircraft, train. You can say a small part, a scissor, a knife, a gun, atomic bomb, nuclear reactors, multi-story buildings, fire shooting range, quarters, offices, dams, canals, powerhouses, anything. The engineering involves a part of the art, ordinary art you can say. Art means a conception as an architecture, applied mathematics, applied sciences, and the health, safety and environment with assistance of all codes and national and international laws, applicable laws. Engineering is a very complex term in this age as contribution from various engineering disciplines are required to accomplish any small or big task or any manufactured piece of engineering nature or to use as a pretty launcher. Civil engineer takes the lead at the initial stages and contributes to the full execution of any project. The buildings are the creations of the architectural and the structural engineers with credited supports of the subsidiary disciplinary engineers. Then the workers, specialists as well as common, also owe respect from the society as without their laborious hard work contribution, the people cannot live in beautiful houses. A house is a pious place for the person and for people who have to live in that for decades, while for a promoter or for a builder, it is just like the process as in a factory for making profit at the risk of those who use. Be an active supervisor yourself for your building. Buildings are imagined, thought, conceived, developed, produced, viewed, landscaped, vistas are given, etc. Buildings are the glory for the king as well as for a small peon. Buildings are the respects for all. Building is a protection from weather and constitutes a security. It is significant to be apprised to have a good awareness, just like the people have awareness about other spheres. Following shall allow the appraisal of the reader to know some good aspect of the concrete activities. The Mughals did not make the structures during their design, but the Bharat artists did the jobs. No such monuments are available in those nations from where the Mughals arrived to our country, Bharat. In those days, stoneworks were considered modern, but now RCC or precursor materials are considered good, are used for the building construction. Even for the structural steel buildings, the works up to the ground level are constructed using RCC. The reinforcement cement works as cementing, and above these foundations of RCC, work of structural steel erection is done and cladding, sheeting is carried out on that. I am taking you to the previous point where we left you, that was point D in the chapter of concrete activities. And now I am just telling you in that the works of the foundation beams, the slabs shall be trifurcated into the following activities. Number 1, making and erection of formworks, you can say shutterings, with actual dimensions given on the drawing. Number 2, cutting, bending and placing the reinforcing bars to the required locations on the members. Pouring concrete to the approved formworks as described for concreting and later followed by the curing activity. These 3 activities are typical and apply to all the members of RCC. So I have just given here for a set of activities. Now I will go to E. After the above activities are carried out for the beams, a concrete protection activity shall be taken up to wrap the foundation concrete vertically as well as horizontally. This protection membrane shall be protected by installing protection boards in the areas that have to receive the fill materials. The fill shall be carried out from the level reached to the level of the below side of the foundation slab internally. Fill shall also be required from the reached level externally to the formation level to reach the plinth protection or the building walkways. Here protection board is very important because people generally ignore this item and they don't understand the function of the protection board to be placed over the waterproofing membrane horizontally as well as vertically. During the fill there are the chances that membrane could be punctured. Just to protect it from that adverse effect of any puncturing, protection board is provided above this membrane. Point F now. The selection of the type of material to be used for the filling purpose is very significant. Clay cannot be used for the filling purpose. Clay means chickeny mitti, you can see in our country. The silt is also not suggested for the purpose of filling. Sand is a good material if it is graded. Silty sand is to some extent is also acceptable, but the best is the desert fill. The fill material should have the limited liquid limit as well as the limited plasticity index. Every soil has certain pores or voids. These have a definite volume as a percentage of the soil volume. These pores or voids contain air as well as water. The percentage of water in the pores defines the liquid limit of the soil. The liquid limit is restricted to 35% for a good defined soil. Lesser the percentage of the water in the pores or the voids, the better the soil is for the purpose of compaction. Higher the percentage of water in these pores means the soil is plastic. The plastic soil shall compress fast, allowing the settlement of the fill, leading to the settlement of the building as a whole or at different locations. In soil engineering, these limits are very significant from practical viewpoint. Point G. The soil is imported to the building site, screened and stacked properly for a purpose or mixing with water. After mixing, the soil has to be made ready to be transported to the site location using the access route or mechanical means as feasible. The area whereto the soil is to be filled has to be cleared of all debris and all dirt. Inspection has to be conducted by the supervising engineer, and then the soil is to be laid in thickness of not more than 250 mm, compactable to 200 mm. No particle of the soil shall exceed 150 mm. The soil shall be laid in true level and then water if less added to that. Otherwise, after the make-up and dressing all, the compaction is to be started. The compaction can be done by the plate compactor or by other means such as jumper or by heavy rammers. All areas where the soil course extends to has to be compacted so that the field density test gets passed. It is significant to ascertain that below the structures the density of the soil must reach to 98% of the optimum dry density achieved on the standard sample while determining the proctor density test in the laboratory. Point H. In case when there is no raft but only grid beams, the filling shall be done between the areas formed by the beams peripheries. In such cases, the beams shall be applied with a concrete protection membrane vertically and horizontally. The filling shall be done filling shall be done up to the blinding bottom level. Any defects noticed on the concrete surface shall be repaired prior to the application of the concrete protection membrane. Next is I. With further activity of retaining walls, construction shall start around the building areas up to the required level. All the activities of RCC shall be carried out as described in the para and the D above, as I told you. The construction of the walls and the inserted columns shall be taken together so that a monolithic concrete product is produced. Monolithic means both elements should be constructed together as far as concrete item is concerned. The horizontal portion of the retaining wall, that is called the base, which may be taken while constructing the raft slab, while the vertical portion, when the vertical portion is taken up in the columns portion. The walls which are more than 1 meter in height should be provided with the tie bolts within the formwork with PVC pipe sleeves provided for permanent inclusion. These tie bolts shall be taken out after the formwork is removed. The holes of the tie bolts shall be filled with non-shrink cement mortar. Possibly the electrical conduit and insert shall be provided within the raft slabs as well as walls for the purpose of low power electrical works. In case some water pump or inverters are to be provided, the inserts respecting these items shall also be provided to the shop drawing indicated locations. Next point is J. The external portions of the excavation of the RCC walls shall be filled accordingly in the same manner as described in the above explanation. Following the work of the column inside the basement portion shall be commenced with in entirety if possible, or in stages in case the number of proposed columns is a multiple of 6 or 4 as the case may be, so that the repetition of the typical size columns forms is made successfully. All the activities of RCC shall be involved, but since the quantity of concrete is always lesser in columns in comparison to foundations or slabs, work on forms shall be considerable. Reinforcing bars shall be completely covered in the columns forms using the concrete covers or spacers as already cast and described above. The column shall be walked up to the ground floor beams, bottom level only. Before starting formwork on raft slab, the joint between the proposed column and the slab portion shall be very well chipped out, allowing complete exposure of the stone aggregates. Point H. The operations pertaining to the grade slab shall be taken up in case of building without basement, while the ground floor slab shall be taken up for the building with basement as the case could be. Now point 35, the operations pertaining to the grade slab shall be taken up in case of the building without basement, while the ground floor slab would be taken up for the building with basement as the case. The first activities respecting the grade slab shall be defined, followed by the ground slab or the basement cover slab. Both types of slabs compose of various operations. The purpose of the grade slab is just the isolation from the structure as well as live load carrying system of the ground service used, while the basement cover slab service serves as a suspended floor similar to other floor slabs of the building. Let's go to point A of this one. After the field work is completed, duly well compacted below the floor, and if so designed, the low strength or blinding concrete shall be laid in single course. This layer shall be well cured just for 3 days, and then an isolation layer of polythene has to be spread provided with overlaps at the membrane edges. Number B. Junctions between the floor and the surrounding beams shall be isolated so that the floor slab works as floating slab. The material sheets shall be cut to suit the depth of the grade slab. The material to be used for the isolation joint at the junction shall be bitumen saturated compressed filler 20 to 20 mm thick, to be finished by infill of sealing at top. It could be any type of seal that is weatherproof could be. The templates for the block outs means voids in the concrete. The templates for the block outs for the services services, the building services, shall be placed in positions as indicated on the shop drawing or the working drawing. E. The welded wire mesh shall be kept on the polythene supported on the concrete spacers so that the mesh is located approximately 75 mm above the polythene. The mesh shall be overlapped by one square and tied very well so that it does not move from its position. In lieu of the mesh, steel bars of equal diameter can also be used with prior approval of the supervisor or the engineer. Point F is any conduits required to be inserted as embeds means insertions shall be placed in and an inspection conducted by the electrical engineer relevant. Similarly, the other works of services shall be inspected by the relevant discipline engineers. G. The floor level shall be marked to be visible around the area to facilitate the concrete pouring stream. After all inspections and cleaning, the structural engineer or supervisor shall inspect and approve the work for pouring the concrete. H. Arrangements shall be made in all respects for the concrete pouring, as explained earlier in the other article. The concrete shall be poured by the expert concrete team, followed by the immediate finishing by the steel trowel or by temping as the case requires. Temping, is temping like this. In case accurate level surface is necessary, that requires the application of the power float equipment. The application shall start only when the concrete is set and hard enough to receive the work of power floating, because power float works like this. It's called, some people call it helicopter also in Arab countries. It works like this on the floor. After the float is applied to the satisfaction, curing shall be carried out to the procedures requirements. Point I. In case there is no requirement as such, application of power float, ordinary finishing shall be done using the timber tempers. The finish shall be done so as the overall texture of the surface is seen uniform to receive the flooring above. Yes. If roughness is required, wire brush shall be applied uniformly. Curing shall continue as defined above in convention. J. The portion of the columns between the raft slab and the basement, this is the raft slab and this is the basement floor, as well as the designed retaining walls shall be constructed. These are called columns. For such constructions, the preparatory works of formwork, erection, the reinforcement, fabrication and fixing shall be carried out according to the design details. The columns and grids of the retaining walls shall be worked for monolithic pouring. The interior columns shall be worked individually. The inspections and concrete pouring shall be followed as per exit procedures. Curing shall be followed as per procedures. The forms shall be removed after 48 hours according to specifications given on the drawing or in the other documents. Point H. For construction of basement slab, the centering shall be erected according to the arrangement of the shop drawing using bases, standards, headers, props, basics, etc. so that the whole system works as temporary structure to receive all loads expected from the preparatory works to the pouring of the concrete safely. The wooden ply shall be used preferably for the slab to receive a fair face surface, but there is no restriction to use the steel plates or the timber planks if there is surety of making good joints between the plates or planks so that no cement water should leak out during pouring of concrete through the joints. The edges of the slab shall be formed correctly so as to receive clean finishing marks. The reinforcing bars shall be fabricated and placed to the correct locations as shown on the relevant structural drawings, whatever it could be. Point I. Works of the services first fixed shall be carried out within the proposed slab. Inspection done by a services engineer. All arrangements for the safe access to the pouring locations shall be made according to the safety requirement. The inspection by the structural consultant shall be conducted and the slab approved for the pour on any appointed date. Pouring shall be carried out in line with the procedures adopted previously, employing the expert pouring team. Without experienced pouring team should not be allowed. No cement shall be allowed to be used in lesser quantity. Concrete mixing shall be done using the mechanical means, and if convenient, mix shall be procured from the central edging plant using concrete trucks and concrete pumps. For pouring, preferably a mobile crane or concrete pump shall be used. Otherwise, a site-installed concrete mixer shall be used for the production of the concrete mix in line with the defined concrete mix design. Concrete vibrators shall be used properly so that the concrete compacted to the defined density is ascertained. The concrete shall be poured from one point and moved in the right direction as agreed. The pour shall be received on the slab and then drawn into the beam forms. The whole slab shall be poured following the same sequence. Some formworks carpenters shall attend the pour from below to see that no support opens or no vertical member moves out of position. Similarly, steel fixers shall attend to make sure that steel bars remain intact during pour. Point J is, as the pour moves progressively, the finishing by wooden float shall be carried out. The curing compound, if allowed, shall be sprayed immediately after the finishing during during humid and hot weather for the prevention of hairline crack formation. After a few hours, when the concrete is almost over, polythene sheets shall be laid on the finished concrete. The access to the concrete area shall be closed for 24 hours minimum. The curing shall be carried out as defined earlier. The curing shall be carried out for a minimum of 7 to 14 days depending on the type of cement used as well as the weather conditions or what the specifications require. Point K. The structure above the ground level or plinth level is termed as superstructure. The superstructure generally comprises of vertical members known as columns, vertical members known as shear walls, horizontal members known as beams, as well as suspended slabs. Suspended slabs means that slabs are designed for the bending moment, transferring those moments to the beams and then to the columns. In addition to the gravity or the dead loads, generally grade of concrete such as M25, M30 and higher are used for the structural concrete. Generally, in 1 cubic meter of concrete, 350 to 400 kg cement is used depending on the requirement. Nowadays, the cement quantity is replaced by the pulverized fly ash, that's PFA, as well as by ground granulated blast furnace slag, that is GGBS in abbreviation form. Various types of cements are available as manufactured after replacing a definite percentage of cement, that is OPC, by the said material, that is GGBS or PFA. The purpose of replacing by this material is to induct certain additional properties such as prevention of formation of early cracks, increasing the workability of mix, allowing low temperature of the mix so that mix remains at temperature say 20 to 30 degrees Celsius. The slump is generally accepted not to exceed 50 to 75 mm, but for the purpose of pumping the concrete, slump is raised to 200 mm by replacement of GGBS or by microsilica, also called silica fumes. Slump denotes the vertical value of vertical fall of concrete when filled into a standard steel cone and compacted 3 times, and then cone is removed up.